A huge storm is coming to the United States later this week, and this will cause a bunch of problems as the return of significant severe weather is likely. This will all kick off on Wednesday and run all the way through next week, where damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes will be possible. So in today's forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and things are a little quieter than yesterday. We actually had a little severe weather event take place back over in the Ohio Valley, where there was a lot of damaging winds and large hail from Ohio back through Virginia and West Virginia. Most of the storm activity is now moving into southern New England. There's still a little bit of some scattered showers left over for today, but severe weather not in the forecast for today if you're anywhere over in the mid-Atlantic, Northeast, or in the Great Lakes. But we will still see some showers throughout the morning and afternoon hours, and then back over in the northern and central plains, things are very quiet right now, but that is not going to last long, especially even in the southern plains as well, as we are anticipating several storm systems to bring the return of significant severe weather later this week. Now let's jump right into the severe weather potential for the next several days, and we'll begin with tomorrow, which is Wednesday. We already have a marginal threat of severe weather in place in the central plains, where isolated large hail and damaging winds will be a possibility. I'm not overly concerned right now about Wednesday, but the concern does grow a little bit as we go into Thursday. We have another slight risk of severe weather in place for most of Iowa, eastern Nebraska, and northern Missouri, where large to very large hail, damaging winds, and maybe even a tornado or two will be a possibility. Thursday is also a bit more conditional. It's not a slam dunk forecast, but if we do see storms fire up, the environment is favorable enough where all hazards of severe weather would be in play. They've also issued a little hatched area there in southwestern Iowa, right around Omaha, Nebraska. That is where we could see some more significant hailstones fall out of any storms that do fire. By Friday, we are talking about a much larger area for severe weather. We got a French fry slight risk that goes from Michigan all the way back into North Texas. Also includes parts of Oklahoma and also through the Ohio Valley, where scattered to numerous damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes will be possible. By Saturday, the risk will shift a little bit further down to the south, including Texas all the way back through Kentucky, where more damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes will be possible. This is going to be more of an afternoon and evening threat, I think, on both Friday and Saturday. And then on Sunday, we are anticipating a more organized risk of severe weather, which includes damaging winds, large to very large hail, and at least a few tornadoes, I think. And this will eventually shift to the northeast on Monday, and then we'll have another risk, I think, on Tuesday back over in the central plains and the southern plains. But what exactly happens beyond Sunday is still uncertain at this time, but we'll obviously keep you posted with the latest. But honestly, it looks like we're at least going to have another 5 or 7 live streams before April's over. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It'll be a very busy stretch of weather, especially with the severe weather threats that are coming up. And one of the biggest reasons why we are going to be seeing such an uptick in severe weather is because of our jet stream. Over the last several days, we've had a lot of storm systems that have been coming out of Canada, bringing some scattered severe weather, but nothing crazy, very sporadic stuff, while a ridge has been in place along the west coast and in the Rockies. But this is going to change entirely as we go into the middle and end of this week, and this is a much more favorable weather pattern for severe weather by Thursday and Friday, where the ridging is going to move all the way towards the east coast, and instead low pressure systems will finally be able to come back from the Pacific Ocean and move over the Rockies, which eventually creates all sorts of turbulent mixing. And this is where we start to see the threat of cold and warm air mixing together essentially and creating the threat of severe storms. And so I think that's going to be very common by Thursday and Friday and all the way through the weekend and next week. So multiple storm systems will be ejecting right over the Rocky Mountains by the weekend and even by next week. Just notice how this weather pattern still stays favorable. Any storm systems that move over the Rockies will still stay in a favorable position for severe weather, as ridging will continue to stay along the east coast in the upper levels. So definitely a favorable weather pattern. We're probably going to see multiple shots of severe weather between now all the way through early May. Now let's talk more about the future radar and what will be happening over the next couple of weeks. Beginning with today, some scattered showers will be ongoing across the northeast and a little bit of snowfall in the Great Lakes. And then by tomorrow, high pressure builds for the east coast. This will keep things a little bit cooler tomorrow with all the cold air that came from the behind side there of that low pressure system. But on the other hand, there will be a new trough forming back over in the Rockies. This will bring some isolated severe weather tomorrow to the central plains. This will be mainly after sunset, and honestly, most of it probably will not kick off until around midnight tomorrow, where around Kansas City, back through central Kansas, there could be some isolated damaging winds and hail. By Thursday, the storm system moves to the east. It'll be actually reforming back over in Kansas, and we will have to watch Iowa for a new threat of severe weather during the late afternoon and evening. I would still think the main concern here for Thursday evening will be large hail and damaging winds. There could could be an isolated tornado out there since we have a lot of wind shear, but I think a lot of the storms are going to be staying elevated. Eventually by Friday, the storm will be more organized, moving into the Midwest. It'll bring some high winds as well, so definitely expect some gusty winds across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley on Friday. And then eventually by around Friday evening, we're going to be watching for scattered thunderstorms from North Texas into the Great Lakes, where there will be some severe weather. I think across the board on Friday, it's just going to be a lot of scattered damaging winds and hail with maybe a few tornadoes as well. I don't really foresee this being a super organized risk for one area in particular. I think if there were to be any area that was more organized, it would be back over in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, since we'll have a new low pressure system forming as we go into late Friday night. But the timing is key there. We're not entirely sure if the timing will be right for that sort of setup. Eventually by Saturday, that shower and thunderstorm activity will continue throughout the Ohio Valley. Our next round of severe weather will be Saturday afternoon and evening, stretching from Kentucky back into North Texas, where more hail and wind will be possible. There could also be a couple of tornadoes in this environment, but eventually by Sunday, this is when it becomes a lot more organized. So by Sunday morning, a much more organized low pressure system will be forming in the southern plains, and this will obviously bring a lot of rainfall. You can see all the green and yellow. That's a lot of rain. Some moderate to heavy rainfall is going to be possible at times. Localized flooding is definitely in play with how many times we're going to be seeing rain in the central and southern plains over the weekend and next week. Notice though how we have a much more organized risk of severe weather by Sunday in Missouri and Arkansas, where significant damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes are likely, and this will continue into late Sunday night into Monday morning as it moves into the Ohio Valley and lower Mississippi River Valley. And you might think we're done after that, right? We're not. By Tuesday, we have another storm system that's going to form. So by Tuesday afternoon and evening, another low pressure system will eject right over the Rockies. This is another shortwave trough that is going to bring more significant severe weather, I think, to the Midwest and the Central Plains, which is where all hazards of severe weather are in play if we end up seeing the storm system, which appears more likely than not. And then after Wednesday of next week, we don't exactly know what's going to happen yet, but we do think the weather pattern will continue to stay active, and there will be plenty of rain and plenty of shots of severe weather. So it's a good reminder, if you're in anywhere in the Great Plains, especially in the Midwest, or even in the lower Mississippi River Valley, go over that safety plan with your family. Make sure that you're ready to go for severe weather and take the proper precautions before any of these severe weather events do hit your area. So with all the severe weather and the big storm systems that are coming up, we are going to have a lot of rainfall, and there's a good chance that we'll have some significant flooding again in areas like southern Missouri and even eastern Oklahoma as we go into late this weekend and next week. So be ready for this. Currently expecting a widespread area around 2 to 4 inches of rain anywhere in the red or even in that yellow area. Even if you're in the pink or purple, we're still talking about at least around 1 inch to 2 inches of rain for the Midwest and back into the southern plains. So a good amount of rain for Texas. They desperately need it, but areas like Missouri and Illinois, you guys do not need more rain after what we saw just about a week ago. And the Climate Prediction Center is on board with this forecast between Sunday of this weekend all the way through Thursday of next week, where above average rainfall is likely, especially in the Mississippi River Valley and the central and southern plains. And unfortunately, again, this area does not need more rainfall, but basically the entire country has an above average chance here of seeing rain over the next 10 days or so. The West Coast is a little bit of an exception, at least for now, as most of the storm systems will be passing more from the north and coming over the Rockies. They won't really be impacting the West Coast much, but again, this is very typical for this time of the year for those along the West Coast. Now, in terms of our temperatures, we're going to continue to have this temperature roller coaster for the next several days, where below average temperatures are currently in play along the East Coast. Above average temperatures are now building into the Great Plains. As that warm air builds, we'll eventually start to see some cold air mix in from the Rockies and also from Canada, and this is going to allow for a much more organized risk of severe weather by Thursday and Friday if storms are able to fire up. Eventually by Friday and Saturday, that above average slew of temperatures will stretch from New England back into the southern plains. Below average temperatures are likely in the Midwest and the northern plains, which should prevent severe weather at least for Saturday and Sunday. But eventually by late Sunday and Monday, the return of severe weather is likely as warm and moist air will start to come out of the Gulf, and this will organize a more significant threat, I think, of severe weather on both Sunday and Monday from Texas all the way back into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. And then anything beyond Wednesday or Thursday of next week is just too uncertain at this time, but we'll likely continue to see a very active weather pattern. And so if you have any plans between Sunday of this weekend all the way through Thursday of next week, expect above average temperatures for the majority of next week across anywhere in the Great Plains, the East Coast. On the other hand, though, below average temperatures are in the forecast if you're in the Pacific Northwest or along the West Coast, where things will be drier but also colder. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We are going to have daily weather updates all the way up until our next big 12-hour severe weather coverage, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified when with the latest updates, and feel free to share this video with your friends and family, especially if you have some in the central and southern plains, as we are expecting a big uptick in severe weather here over the next couple of weeks.